So the progressive woke infrastructure plan requires the U.S. to get materials from China and the Belgian Congo. It's not really fair to the infrastructure plan. It's part of it. It's just bigger for the Green New Deal issue. And I just want to know, we want to put our energy policy in communist hands. Joining us now to discuss, Alaska Senator Dan Sullivan, great friend. You know, Dan, you can't get to net zero emissions. You can't get to batteries and electric cars. I mean, I don't, by the way, even think that's desirable. But even if it were, no one's planning to open up access to mines and minerals in the United States. They're closing down access. So we're going to have to go to China and or the Belgian Congo if these things are pursued. What do you make of this? This seems like utter stupidity to me. They have not planned out this.
Well, look, I agree 100% that we need to be focused on producing the energy and the critical minerals that not only our country needs, but the world needs. And the good news is, you know, under the Trump administration with a Republican Congress, we were doing that. We became the world's energy superpower, biggest producer of oil and natural gas in the world. And, you know, you and I have talked about it, but I'm putting together an energy plan that would do that, focus on producing American energy for us and for our allies and getting critical minerals, rare earth elements developed in America. We have them in Alaska, Larry, as you know, or with our allies. So, look, I think we should do this anywhere in this infrastructure plan that I've seen the potential for this to come from China. I'm supporting with a number of my colleagues amendments that would prevent that. But you're exactly right. We should not be empowering the Chinese or the Russians. Heck, we're importing more oil from Russia now than we're producing in Alaska. People know that's wrong. And the good news is we have the resources in our country to do this on our own. And oh, by the way, we have the highest environmental standards in the world as well. So I agree 100% with what you just said.
Well, we have the irony here is we have the lowest carbon emissions.
Yeah, we do.
We've beaten the Paris Climate Accord target. They wanted down 25% off of the 2005 base by 2025. By the end of last year, we were down 25%. We beat it by 5 years. So I don't even know what this is about. But, well, Dan,
just one more point on that, Larry, because a lot of people don't know it. From 2005 to 2019, the United States reduced greenhouse gas emissions more than any other major economy in the world by far. Why? Because of the revolution in natural gas. So it's good for the environment, what we've been doing.
But there's nothing in this infrastructure bill that would open mines. There's nothing that would reopen the mines up in Minnesota, for example, where there's a lot of rare earths, or Wyoming, or Colorado, or Alaska. There's nothing in this bill. And by the way, you may have heard the CBO scored this thing as a $250-something billion deficit. So the pay-fors didn't even pay for.
Well, look, on the mining, there actually is stuff in this bill. We got it in there that's focused on streamlining for rare earth elements, for critical minerals. There's actually major loan guarantees, billions in loan guarantees for the Alaska Natural Gas Project for America to export to our allies for Alaska. So I'm still looking at the bill. There's some good things in there. Permitting reform is actually looking pretty good. The one federal decision that the Trump administration and we work together on is actually in there. All
only
the permitting
for highways,
stuff,
Senator.
I agree. All the permitting stuff.
Only for highways.
I agree with that,
I want to be very
Larry.
clear on that because we devoted our hearts and souls to the NEPA permitting reforms. For highways, yes.
You know I was in there with you. My Rebuild America Now Act is all about major NEPA reform, and the executive order from the Trump administration was outstanding on that. But these are the key issues that I'm looking at that. I've been a no twice as we proceeded this because I wanted to read it. And we are reading it, but the broader issue you're talking about, we shouldn't be importing energy and critical minerals from our adversaries when we have it ourselves, and we do have it ourselves.
By the way, for even the solar, I guess half of it, market share, 45% of the polysilicon for solar comes from China. In other words, my point is, I'm against the Green New Deal. I want an all of the above energy policy. We should develop everything we have. But the point is, if you want to encourage batteries in electric cars, although it's going to be very expensive, we can't even do that. Because this administration, following Obama's dictates, Trump was opposed to this, they're closing down mines. They're closing down access to America's resources, including your Alaska ANWR.
Yeah, look, I agree 100% that their policy right now has been to restrict production of American energy, kill pipelines, go to Wall Street, guys like John Kerry and Gina McCarthy, and tell some of the woke CEOs in Wall Street not to invest in America's energy sector, not to invest in Alaska, and import more from China. And I fully disagree with that. That's why we're putting out our own energy and jobs plan that's pro-American, focused on American natural resources and our workers. And again, Larry, we have the resources.
Yeah.
And if you're going to produce if you need energy and you're going to produce it, why don't you do it with American workers in the place that has the highest environmental standards in the world? That's America. That's Alaska.
By the way, don't send John Kerry anything but that. Senator Sullivan, last one real quick. Tracy Stone Manning, I guess she's going to run the Bureau of Land Management, which is going to have big impact. She's an eco-terrorist and God knows what. You going to vote against her?
Oh, not only am I voting against her, I've been trying to tank her nomination. I've been on the floor giving speeches about her so everybody knows. You just said it. She's an eco-terrorist. It's one thing that we expect almost the Biden administration to put forward far-left extremist nominees. It's another thing, Larry, if they're putting forward far-left extremist violent nominees. There should be a red line on that, no matter who you are, Democrat or Republican. We're trying to tank her nomination, and I'm going to keep speaking out against it.
And part of that on your side is the guilt because you voted for Deborah Haaland, right? Very bad idea. I think we lost him. Sorry about that.